Hey guys, Greg here, Underground Graphic. Today we are going to go over a new kit, something we've had in the works for a few months now and just never got back to completing. This we did alongside the cutback. So if you remember the cutback, that was that kind of beachy themed stripe kit. Very similar in shape where we've got those angled pieces in the back and up towards the front. This one we're calling the Doubleback. This is going to be obviously two colors of your choice. And what we like about this is that we're going to offer this in a lot of colors. What we have on the website is going to be 16 color options, some for your top stripe, some for your bottom stripe. And if you want to do others, again, click the link to our color chart. And as well, what we have on here is our die cut version, which is going to be, again, 2 premium wrap films. If you want to go with a digital print version, we're going to be able to do that as well. And that's going to be basically any CMYK color. So that's going to offer a lot more customization. If you want to put in a texture to it, something in the background, we can really get crazy with that. That again is going to be CMYK with a digital print. That we are going to ask you to call in for. It's way too complicated to get that as a listing on the site with standardized options. So we did leave those options to the die cut version. And again, we're going to go with those 16 most common colors that we've been doing for the Bronco. Just so you know, as you see here, this is the 3M Gloss Liquid Copper and the 3M Matte Gray Aluminum. I chose this to kind of pull from the wheels, and then I did that liquid copper to kind of pull from the orange trim inside. Again, these are not listed on that site, but again, these are in our extended colors on that chart on the website. So this is really just an example of, again, what you can do custom. The kit we're going to install for you today is going to be a red and blue kit. This kit will also have the option for a hood graphic to match as well. You don't have to do that. It will be sold sides only, and then you'll see an option on there for with hood accent and with hood accent with the matte black. So as you come up here on the top of the hood, you'll see that matte black surround. This will be the full version, and then the solo option will just be the stripes coming off of that hood bump. Without that black. So a lot to go over. We did notice as well as we were doing our test on this that this is one of our only kits I can think of that we had 2 wrap films that if we're doing a 2-color option that aren't touching. So when we have orange pinstripe on top of black, we have no issue with that black adhering to its backing paper, but when we put the orange next to the black, or in this case orange next to that gray, it's not wanting to stay on that backing paper, especially even going from our production department into our garage, it's wanting to lift. So when you get this kit, you're gonna have a double, or basically a pinstripe surrounding the entire, each piece, and that is to ensure that does not lift off. That's just to make sure that when you get that in shipping, all is as it is supposed to be, but you are gonna have to do a little extra trimming, and I will go over that again once we get to our kit. Just like all of our vehicle graphics kits, we're using wrap film, as we talk about all the time. That means it's gonna be a dry installation. The adhesive on the back side of that is a bunch of little tiny bubbles, so no need to do this wet. When you apply that dry, no chance of bubbles, no chance of wrinkles. It really is super easy. And if you've watched any of our other videos, you've seen that process. This will also be available for 2- and 4-door models. If you have any questions on colors, feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to put together a quick 2D render. So if you want to see what white and black looks like on red, or want to see what red and black looks like on white, those kind of variations, I'd be happy to send you out a quick render. As well, we also have swatches of all these colors. So just again, email, call, and we can drop some of those in the mail to you if you want to see those up close and in person. So let's go take a look at what you're going to get. So this is going to be, obviously this is just one side. We're just doing this for a demo for now, but this is going to be that hood graphic. This will be a 3M matte black. If you want to do something custom, let us know, but again, that's going to be a default to that matte black. If you do that hood option with the full, you're going to get these 2 pieces cut separately, and as you can see there, these are going to be your lineups just to sit in that right spot. And once you peel that back, this will line up to the outline of that black. Once the black is applied, then the blue, come back, same thing with the red. So there's going to be our hood, and then you see the stripes up here above. This is that pinstripe that I was just talking about in that intro, where you will have to cut to the edge of this before we install this. We added this pinstripe again, just because we saw that when we're doing that layer and putting a wrap on top of that backing paper from the prior color, it's not wanting to stay down on that with that mask on top. So this assures us that it's going to lay down, and when it's rolled up and boxed up for shipping, you're not going to have any issues with that. As far as installation, parts and what you're going to need and tools, be sure to check out our tools section on the website. There's a lot to go over there, but essentially all you're going to need: a pair of scissors. I like to have that sharp blade just in case you need to trim anything, which the gas cap, you will have some trimming on that gas cap. That alcohol water mix, these are our shop versions. We do have the small versions. You'll see that here in a moment when we do the video. Obviously some clean microfiber towels, some masking tape, and set aside probably about an hour, hour and a half tops, depending on how ready you are. You do want to make sure that you're in a cool environment. We still get people to install stuff outside. If that's all you have to do, that's all you can do. Do know that if you're out in the elements, that can get underneath the wrap. We can't control the weather, but you do want to try to do this in high 60s, mid 70s, somewhere in that window. Obviously, as little wind as possible, not in direct sunlight. We do have a garage here that we're doing all of our installs in that it's always temperature controlled. It is very important to make sure that it's not too hot and it's not too cold. Too hot and it gets soft, it's going to stick incredibly fast. Too cold, it's not going to stick well enough, and you're going to have a hard time with that. So let's go ahead and get prepped, get ready. I'm going to come over here and rip off all the work we did last night on this, and we'll start fresh again and show you how we did it. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and get this kit installed. I did want to go back through those tools again and what we're going to be using. Like I talked about, a clean microfiber towel. We are going to go back, even though we just took off those old graphics. I say old, they were fresh, we put them on last night. But we're going to go ahead and alcohol down the hood again, and then the area that we're going to be doing. If you've got a clean car, great. I mean, you still want to wipe this down. And we talked about the squeegees. You are going to get this squeegee with the kit, which is your standard plastic squeegee. That'll be fine really to do the whole kit. If you want to add, this is some of the extra pieces that we have in the tools. It's a felt tip for that. So once you take off that pre-mask, if you want to go back over that vinyl, you are going to want something soft on that edge so you don't scratch that paint. As you do this on the paint, again, if you're doing it lightly, medium, you're not going to get any scratches on it. But if you do, it's just super light surface scratches that'll literally buff out first time you do a light compound or even clean it really. Anyhow, those are squeegees. We talked about masking tape. We are going to be a few spots for trimming. We do have X-Acto blades on the site as well. And then going back to the alcohol water mix. Again, you can do this at home, but if you don't want to do it at home, we already have this ready for you. The alcohol water prep, as well as the matte and gloss sealant and the matte and gloss cleaner. Those are specifically made for wraps. So, oh, and a pair of scissors. All right, so with that said, I want to go ahead and get into it. Again, we're going to use ours because these are, I think this one's almost empty. I'm going to go ahead and get these pulled off, and we're going to go ahead and bring over those scissors, and we're going to trim down these pieces. I talked about that earlier, that the die cut versions are going to have that extra border on there. So we're going to get those chopped off real quick. All right, so we're going to do a quick trim down on this. I know this is rear. This is going to be our passenger door, driver's side passenger door, and this is going to be this is front, door. Essentially all we need is just to trim off that bottom piece because we're going to use that line up right on top of that crease. So we can go, I'm going to go ahead and trim off all of it. And again, it's what you feel more comfortable with. Do be careful and take your time with this. You want to get close, but you obviously don't want to cut the vinyl. And again, if you order the digital print kit, this will already be done for you. I wish we didn't have to do it this way, but because we're layering wrap vinyl on top of another wrap film, that backing paper, those adhesive bubbles aren't going to lay in the same place, which is why it doesn't lay down and stick very well to that backing paper. So essentially, again, this top pinstripe and even these side ones, they're going to get cut off anyway. They're not going to be what stay on the car. Also make sure you keep a trash can handy, which is nice. Also forgot to mention the heat gun. You are going to want a heat gun for this just to go back and make sure everything is properly post-heated. So that top stripe, again, you don't have to take that off, but I am a OCD guy. I want to make sure this all looks great. Again, the closer you get, the better. If you want to use a straight edge, that's great too. But literally, like I said, just take your time. So we've got that cut down. Do not cut the pinstripes off of the hood piece. You are going to use those as a lineup. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these over. 1, 2, 3, bring my tools back. Got my scissors. Heat gun can stay. Usually if you watched our videos before, you know that I like to pull out a lot of masking tape. And again, we talked about where this is going to line up. That spear, this was what we call the spear, is kind of our go-to. So we modeled this to sit right on top of that. So that red, which is our bottom stripe, is going to be sitting right on the edge of that. You've got a little bit of room to move. So if you want to raise it up a little bit, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure you make that even all the way across. One of the tricks that I do that we'll get into when we get there is to make sure everything's straight. Obviously this would be easier if it was all cut one long piece. We would have to cut, 20 stripes at a time to make that cost feasible. So we do cut these down. But when it's all cut one piece, you don't have to worry about those kinks as that comes down. We're doing section at a time. So we do have a line to follow. It makes that a lot easier, but we also want to make sure that visually that looks straight. We'll get that from looking down the front of the vehicle or from the rear of the vehicle. And where you start is totally up to you. If you want to start front to back or back to front, I do like to start front to back. We also talk about, you've got about a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, depending on the piece, to kind of shift this back and forth, right and left. You do want to have a little bit of rollover on that into this fender. So I'm going to kind of basically butt it up to the door, to the next body panel. Give me a piece of tape, line right up on there. I'm going to follow that red line, that red stripe, right above that spear. And if you notice, it's very slight, but that spear does start to dip just a little bit. So as we get to the front side of this, we're going to tape this, apply that side down. By the way, this is called the hinge method. Once we pull this tape off, we're going to kind of work that down and just pull slightly, just so we get a nice smooth bend towards the front of that. If it stays straight, it's not the end of the world. It's really hardly noticeable, but for that perfection, you do want to droop this down just a little bit at the front. And it's just giving it a little tug on that. So let's move. I'm going to, again, and the other thing to note, make sure you tape everything up first. You want to make sure that's all lined up. You can kind of go over your tape. I can already see here that I'm a little high here in the back where I want to be. You can also push that mirror in so you got a little bit more room to see. So again, I want that red right on top of this. You'll see a lot of Broncos, these panels are not always even. I think we have that on one of our back doors too. So you really just want to split the difference on that. If you give that a little bit of room, that makes that a little bit easier. So we're going to come back here on this front door. You can come, again, same thing. Now we've got a lineup for that. And we're going to tape here at the front. Start working our way back. And these are straight. So now, want to make sure we've got that pulled taut, not too hard. I don't want to yank the tape off the front, but I do want to tape in the back so that this is not drooping. And carefully, so we don't move that, go ahead and tape. You can see here how much overlap I have. That's because I pulled that front side back because I don't want to have too much hanging over. So as we wrap this along that edge, we will trim that off. You don't have to. It'll look nice if you trim it nice and evenly on the back side. But again, that's that. Again, showing you that you do have a little bit of room on these. And again, as you pick these up, remember you're going back on this body. We did alcohol this down. I forgot to get that on video. You want to, make sure you go back and alcohol prep all of your surface that you're going to be doing. I'm going to line that back up with the red. This one, if you want to, you can see in the back, I've got about 3/4 of an inch at the back. So if you want to bring this forward, this one I do like to start at the back and bring that just so I have a little bit of roll around on that edge, but I also do that so this here isn't too noticeable. I want to bring that, this is a design element we did put into this stripe. This is on a handful of our stripe options, the first high, as well as our 5-bar high. And now we can come up and match that at the front. Again, I want to just make sure that backing paper's clean. I'm not sure if you can see. I don't remember if we did blue on red. Yeah, we did blue on red. So if you can tell, this is not adhered super well. It's kind of loose. Now it's been, it's overnight. We had this sitting out overnight, but that's why we have that border on there. That blue is just barely sitting on top of that that backing paper. So with that border on there, that kind of holds that down. So you really want to cut that border off just when you're ready to install. And this one, again, it just follows that line out, that spear. Okay, now that we got it all taped up, we want to go back, kind of stand back, make sure we're all straight on this. We talked about getting back on that corner, looking down from the back to the front. You can really see on that pinstripe if everything is straight. And that looks really good to me. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. I'm happy with it. Come up a little bit right here, but I think I'm just off right on that little bump right there. Let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I like to go front to back. I did mention that while we did alcohol this, I didn't get that on video, just passed me right by. We did that before the video. So again, that prep, this is already on there, but make sure you're getting all that clean. We don't want any dirt or debris under there. So that clean and prep, that is key for everything. Stickers, wrap, you want to make sure everything is clean. If your paint, depending on the condition of your paint, you don't need to do paint correct, but a clay bar, if you've got, you can feel it if it's rough or not. Again, if you have any questions on that, just give us a call. Be happy to go into more detail with that. But essentially, that alcohol water mix, that's all we normally do in most cases. So I'm going to pull this one, tape this one up out of the way. And again, if you've watched these videos before, you'll see our little trick, which is I like to leave that mark as my lineup. This is the other reason I kind of like that soft squeegee, is I can kind of go back and just wipe on that paint, make sure there's nothing else under there or on there. I don't want anything under my stripe. And I left my trash can over there too. Now again, we're going to pull that taut, not too tight, just enough so we don't have any slack in there. Nice tack. And again, either way, that hard side, and if I go all the way out, you can see that stretched that just a little bit, and I wanted to show you that because now you're going to get a little kink in there, a little wrinkle. You can lift that right back up. As long as that's laying right back down, you're good to go. If you don't want to do that, or don't want that to happen, we'll do it the other direction, is you're going to do up and down on that. And that's where, again, with that paint, that's why it's nice to have that felt squeegee on there. And this is that front one as well that we want to make sure we have a little bit of bend on that. So as I come down, I'm really going to kind of just pull and make sure I'm on top of that crease and kind of work my way down and just give it a little pull there at the end. And we can see I'm pretty good on that. I think I'm right on that. If this is off, give it a quick pull back up. And then you can do that again, but in a nice fluid motion. I'm giving a little bit of arch down there at the front. I think that was too much. So really I'm just gonna let that fall straight and just barely pull on that edge. And you can see there, look at that. I'll pull that back up. Let's see if this comes out. It does. So if I'm squeegeeing all the way up, again, depending on how hard I'm pushing, that's going to cause little surface scratches. So again, if you're worried about that, that's why you want that soft edge on there. Now that soft edge doesn't give you the same firmness over that as the hard edge does. So do try to keep that on that mask. And now we've got that one down. Let's go ahead and peel from the front. And that's that other hard part, is that we cut these close, so you want to make sure you're pulling that mask not directly out at you, but with the body, 180 degrees. And when you use that tape, that will likely leave a little bit of residue. And depending on how hard we tacked on that front door, you do want to lift that up, loosen that, and basically just kind of tuck that in. We can come back with our heat gun and really get in there, but we can still kind of push that back there with the squeegee for now to get that out of the way. So now we'll come onto our driver door. Make sure we're lined up where we want to be. Now this time, like I said, I pulled a lot towards the back, so I'm not going to be overlaying that stripe at the front. So I am going to go ahead and just tape that down so that doesn't shift while I come back to the back and hit this from back here. This is that top one, which I'm just going to tape and just tape out of the way. There is my mark. I'm going to come back. Another light pass. And again, this is that other way where we just want to kind of do that up and down motion. You got to be careful. You just saw I did that, caught that edge. But you can kind of run down the middle, overlapping strokes. Again, if you're on that, a little bit easier with that felt. So we do encourage that. I think they're like $1. They're not. They're super cheap. Pull that off. Make our mark. Take that off. We got our mark up at the front. You'll end up with lots of little pieces of tape. Don't throw them away yet. You never know when you're going to need it. So basically, you're seeing what we're doing here is a hinge method, hinge method, hinge method, 8 times, and then we'll get to the hood. 8 times on a full kit. We're just doing the driver's side for this demonstration. Hit that right on. And if I come all the way down, that may kink that up, but you saw. Then I can come out and I can go a little up and down. If you get to where something kinks and you see it, just pull that back up, lay that back down. And again, this wrap vinyl, until you work with it, it's amazing. When we started working with wrap vinyl, I think it was back in 2008, we wrapped our first car with it. I was like, why aren't people using this for graphics? And I don't know, not to say we were the first, but not many do. And it's a little more common now, but so like that, that was that little crease, that'll come out with heat. So go back with that heat gun. And you can put this hard edge on that. You just got to be careful. You don't want to hit it too hard. And that roll in. Again, we'll come back with our heat gun at the end. Make sure all those edges are good. And we'll go on to the next one. On this one, like I said, let's see how much of that'll come out. There with heat. We'll come back with heat on that too. Here, this is where you can either pull this, lift these up, wrap that whole edge, or we can go back and use that blade. Similar to what we're going to do on that gas cap, this one, we're not going to cut on that paint. We want to bring this top edge of that blade against the edge of that door. So we're not cutting on that paint, but getting right up on it and just drag that top edge. You're going to have to get that started or have a sharp blade. My goal is to kind of just twist that just enough to stay off the paint and have that top of that blade do all that work, or have the knife side of that blade do the work for you. Now I've got about a 1/4 inch there to come back and roll that edge. And again, with heat, it'll soften it up. It's really easy to do. On this one in here, if you want to bring it into this double lip, you can. You're going to need to make sure you have you're extended out, which we have here, and I'll show you how we do that next. So you see how much overlap we have there, and that we can roll into that. We will need to bring the heat gun out for that. But let's go ahead and keep going. Now I've got tools making my way with me. Again, last one we're going to be putting back here, just up and out of the way. Our crease, or our cut there for our lineup. I'm really kind of amazed how well that blue stuck on that backing paper, but I know that's because of that border. So again, that was the right thing to do. We'll come back, nice and taut, tack it. That one worked well. And then start working up. You know, we get people that call and they said, Greg, I followed your video, watched the video 3 times, still made a mistake. We are among the first, I think we were the first, because obviously we watch our competition, but we decided to offer IPC, which is Installation Protection Care, on any kit that we do here in-house. So if you make a mistake, as long as you document it, we do have a list on what we expect to see. We want to know what happened, photos. We will send you out a new piece, a new section. So you have to fulfill the rest of your install. But take a little peace of mind in knowing that if you mess one of these up, we got you covered. I think we do ask for shipping on that, because this, depending on what it is, our shipping, as you see, when you get this package, it will be rolled around a big thick tube, padded. Packaging is awesome, and it's not cheap. So here we are into that bend there. I'm going to go ahead and pull that side off first so you can see what the excess does here. Let me get another side of you. I'm always curious to know how long these actually take. If it would be faster if I'm not talking. I've also done this kit now, I think 3 times. And if you get a little pull, no big deal. We just want to make sure that that stays on the door. Even that, no big deal. And remember, pull that 180 degrees. You don't want to pull straight out. All right, let me get my heat gun. All right, so we talked about the heat gun. Prefer you not use a hair dryer because there's so much wind, you know, that's blowing out of that. This, you just want to get this vinyl warm, and it doesn't take much to soften that up. Make sure you don't sit this on your seat. So I'm going to set this down here on the floorboard. And basically with that soft edge of the squeegee, I'm just going to work my way down. And again, as this vinyl gets soft, it gets extremely conformable, pliable. And now we've got full coverage with no bubbles. We just work that into that crevice, no stress on it. Now it's up to you if you want to cut that short on the other end and then just tuck in to where it ends evenly, a 1/4 inch on the inside of that, or if you want to roll that in. That's why we left that extra on there. As I close this door now, you'll see that red and blue continue through into that seam. Not a big deal. Again, it can cut short on the inside. It's just those details. You got an option there. And if you want to cut that against this edge, roll that 1/4 inch in, or if you want to run that all the way into that, you know, on that end. So same thing on the back here. This one, we don't have to do that heat gun just yet. We can just roll that in with our thumb and our finger, roll that edge. And you can see that's not bad, that's perfect on the back. And again, with a little heat on that, that'll set that adhesive and that won't go anywhere. Now we're back to our last piece. And I can see there that folded up, I can see that coming off that backing paper right there, but that's fine. As long as it's on the top and it's all attached to that mask, we are in perfect shape. And scissors, I got scissors, I got my knife down here. I'm gonna bring that trash can around. Again, I'm right-handed, so I go right to left. There's that piece there. We're gonna hinge. Pull that taut, line up to that tape. And here I do want to stay in the middle and follow the edge of this gas cap just to get that set. Now I can come back up and just let that drop right over that. Come back. And it's always, you're always kind of working out. All right. Again, I'm just doing this because I'm making sure everything's off of there. Another reason I like that felt. Did I miss? Did I miss? I missed. Make sure that's lined up. Overlapping. You can come all the way. Remember, if you come all the way down like that, you may get that pull. And if you do, you need to pop that end up and just keep going down. See, I'm a little bit off on that. I mean, that was like a 32nd of an inch, but on white, you can see it. So I'm gonna pull that up, come right back down. All right, we're set. Come out from this last corner. And if you pick up the vinyl, just push it back down and then try to just get that edge come up and kind of roll that at first. And then once you got that going, then you can pull. You saw right there, I didn't get full adhesion on there. So that soft edge is why you want that felt again. Make sure that's down. So something else with this kit, we didn't talk about in the intro, is that with this area up here on top, it's a great place if you want to put some text in there. You know, maybe a Bronco name, or you know, whatever you want to put in there. If you want to do something custom, just let us know before you order so we can make sure we get that into your order. And again, you saw me just lift that off that door. And you just want to break that rollover. And again, we can use that heat. This is a really smooth bender on the back. So that, I'm just going to roll that in with my thumb. We're good on that. And our last piece is going to be this gas cap. So we do want to make sure we are adhered as much as we can be. On that gas lid. And then the same kind of thing we did on that door edge. We're basically just trying to split the middle of this. So depending on your blade, this is going to be a little tricky. And you can decide whether you'd want, you know, there's a chance you're going to see a little bit of white. So what edge you want it to see that on, I'm going to make sure I've got a fresh blade on this. And with this, these Olfa blades, you can get these on Amazon if you want them. We do not stock these for resale. But you can see the tip of that kind of has a smooth bend on it. I can get that to sit inside this crease of this. It really gives me an even cut. That puts me right in the middle. Otherwise, again, like we did before, we're gonna drag that top edge against the paint and just enough so we're not cutting on that paint. Depending if you're right-handed or left-handed, I'm gonna drag that edge down that side. And then this one's a little bit trickier because I can't do right-handed on both sides. But I'm going to start right here, or I can do, I'm trying to think what's best for you guys. So get that blade in there. And again, I'm going to roll this piece in there. And just, I can feel that center. And then we can roll that in. If you make a mistake on this, or if you need an extra piece, we may have some on that extra. I'm going to try to see if we can get some extra on that kit, but if not, that's something we can just drop in the mail to you if you want to cover that like this top edge here, again, it's really OCD, but if 9 times out of 10, this comes out fantastic. And once you stand back and look at this, it's great. And I'm really happy with that cut. See, I stand back here. All right, now we want to go back and post heat, check those edges. We can do our hood. Let's do our hood. Let's go ahead and get that hood done. That's that last piece, assuming we do the other side. Obviously, repeat for your passenger side. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do that hood now. Assuming you've done your passenger side, or whichever side you did first, and come back and have done your other. We do want to make sure that the backing of this is clean, so that's why it's nice to have your clean cards. If we set something down, we're not picking up dirt again on the back side of that backing paper. I just took all that masking tape off, realizing that, you know what, that's why I like having that extra tape. So saved a couple pieces, scissors, 4 pieces of tape, and let's go ahead and just a little bit of that alcohol water mix. And again, we do that. We don't want any ceramic coating on there. Forgot to mention that earlier. If you have a coating, give us a call. You can do like a light buff compound and then do just an adhesion test to make sure that is good to go. And I know we should be good on that other side already. I'm on a stool, so I've got one of those little fold out ladder stools, which are fantastic. If you've got a Bronco, you should have something that you can get up on. But I've done this hood enough times to know where this sits. I like to have a little bit of paint at the top. That's how it was. That's how Ford did it. That's how we're going to do it. And I know about how far to come in, but essentially I'm going to put a piece of tape on this side, get that set, and I'm going to jump over to the other side and match my distance to the edge of the hood. And again, if you want to confirm, you can measure from crease to that sticker. You can look from the center. I know I'm happy with it. And we'll come back to the other side. And this can be a 2-person job, makes it a little bit easier, but you don't have to have it. And now we're going to do that hinge. And I'm also OCD about putting my hands on the paint. So I try to use that trail sight with my left hand leaning over. And this is pretty soft, but you can still get kind of towards that edge there. I'm going to put another piece of tape here. And there's not a lot of surface paint, but again, that's also why I like having that paint there. So I got something to tack to. And now we're going to do that hinge again. All right, so back to that same trick again. Make sure you don't tear the vinyl. If it does feel like it's about to tear, you can go to the other side, or you can even cut that with a knife on the paper side, not on your paint. And this is where it gets kind of, it's not going to look pretty on video, I'm sure, but I can stand on that tire. I'm going to get a little bit of motion here. But I do want to be up and over this because I want to get this vinyl. Something else I didn't mention, make sure your hands are clean. I'm constantly using alcohol, spraying my hands. Anything that's on your fingertips, if you touch this vinyl, will directly transfer to the adhesive. So right center there, and we'll start doing those overlapping strokes. And you can see that mark ended exactly where it should. But we really just need to get that one started, and then we can go back to the other side. And same thing, just want to make sure I know where I'm going to end up at. This time I can take this hinge off. Take out that hinge. And again, I can get up and over this a little bit. And on this one, I kind of want to pull that backing paper just a little taut, make sure I'm back where I'm supposed to be. Those overlapping strokes. And that's really the hardest part of that. Now that I'm back on that stool, a little more comfortable, pull the rest of that backing paper out. Make sure that tape is lined up. Come back just a little bit. Overlapping strokes. Now you can go a little more aggressive with it. Make sure you get that down. Again, remember 180 degrees on that. This is the material that you really want to do some type of sealant on. This mat scratches extremely easy, so you do want to make sure you've got something soft on the end of that squeegee if you're going back over that vinyl by itself. And we mentioned that earlier, that sealant that we have. I'll go ahead and apply that just so you see how to do that. And you can even see here these points, even that detail, we've got those smoothed down. So when you wipe this down, you're not going to get that edge grabbing with that microfiber. So this is the blue, so we're going to hit this one on the top right, and you see that's our lineup. So we can actually pull this whole thing off, or you can hinge it. This is not too bad. I'm going to pull that whole thing off. Make sure your hands are clean, and then get that point right here where that's overlapping. And then we're going to get our point up at the top, so that's matching. And there we go. And just let that sit there, go right in the middle. Got a little piece of vinyl under that mask there. There we go. And then I don't need that pinstripe. That was just our lineup. Now I'll do the same thing with that red. And again, may need to get up and over this a little bit, but just want to get that lined up, tacked right there, and I'm already in place. And you can go light at first if you want. Make sure you're good. Now go heavy with it. And we're set. And then just get out that pinstripe off. And we're good to go. So now that last step, let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a post heat. So post heating is typically 180 degrees to 210 depending on the film. We're not going to have a thermometer to really check that. So nothing that we've done on this vehicle is what we call stressed. So it's you're not really looking to set that memory in that adhesive. But we do want to do is make sure there's no spots we didn't get down good enough. And if there's anything that we didn't get down with that heat, that's going to lift that back up, and we'll see those spots. So let me grab that heat gun. And again, with that matte film, you can burn it. You can, obviously too much heat on anything. So, just wave that over your hand, keep it moving. So keep that heat moving. If you put it one place, it's gonna do some damage. So we do want to keep that moving. And you can get fairly close, about 3 inches away, 3-4 inches. And just kind of go back and even strokes. And essentially we're going to do this for the entire kit, everything we've done, especially on the edges, but I think we're going to be good. Again, this We're not talking heavy stress on any of this. And I don't see anything that we've missed. This all looks great. Now we can come down here and check our and just slowly run down. Again, if there's a spot like at the bottom, my bad habit is the bottom of those stripes. And sometimes you'll see a little spot that wasn't stuck and it kind of lifts. If it does, take the heat away, let it cool for a second, and go back and re-squeegee with the soft end of that squeegee. And I know it seems kind of like a pain in the butt kind of thing to do, but it really is. Make sure that you're going to get the most out of this vinyl, that it's installed correctly. And if you want to go back and check the insides of those doors and those seams, give a little bit of heat. Make sure we're tucked in there nice and good. I know in that front door we did not, so I got to go back and make sure. And you'll see this when you take the doors off if you like to do that. So with this one open, I'm going to come back up towards the front and make sure you get your finger in there and all that adhesive is applied to the metal. And on this inside door, it's even trickier. You're going to have to come in on the inside. That's why I like the shorter end on that, so I don't have to wrap a whole lot of that on the back side. But with that door fully open, it's a little bit of heat in there. Make sure you don't burn yourself. And get your finger in there, and you can see there's just a little bit of vinyl showing in the inside of that door. But on the outside, it is perfect. So our last step, again, not a necessity, but we do recommend it, is that sealant, especially on the wrap films. I'm sorry, the matte wrap films. A little bit of protection goes a long way. So we do have that sealant and we have that cleaner. The sealant will give us our first layer. So this is all we really need to do. This is the most important, especially on that mat. And that's going to be a clean microfiber. And you really want to do this on a dry. Let me get another towel. You want a clean microfiber, twice fold it, soak it, and then another microfiber towel to dry it. So for that sealant, again, that last step, nice last step, make sure this lasts a good long while. You do want to spray that towel. And you can spray directly on there if you want. We'll come back there and hit the other side. And this is safe for your paint. We don't want to do the whole car with it, but if that gets on that little area, it's not going to do anything. And I'm going to go ahead and hit that other side. I just want to make sure that is totally coated. And this one we're just going to use to go back and kind of buff that and just make sure it's all dry. Now this material, this vinyl, is safe. Should you choose to add a ceramic coating, you can. Again, my thoughts, that stuff is great. We're in the vinyl industry, so it can be a hindrance at times for us. But even those, quick detail ceramics are great. You just want to keep bird poop and all those contaminants off that vinyl, especially the matte. If you have any questions on any of the care, it's included. You see a little sheet that's in there with your package, or you can just give us a call. All right, that's it. All right, guys, we'll step back, clean up, admire your work, and that is the Doubleback. I do hope you like it. I think it's great. It's very versatile. Being able to pick and choose what you want for what color top, what color bottom. Again, being able to mix a matte and a satin, or a matte and a gloss, or a satin and a gloss is going to open up all kinds of options. If you have any questions, need help deciding what to do, feel free to give us a call. I love talking Bronco, and yeah, see you next time.